Sitting in the bleachers in the rain. We've shed a million tears and drank as many old style beers out at the game. Let's go, Cubby, Son Ranto, Son Ranto, Son Ranto and the lovable loser. Son Ranto, Son Ranto, Son Ranto and the lovable losers. Son Ranto.
Well, hello there, and welcome to the Son Ranto Show, brought to you by the Bleacher Bunch Productions on the Fans First Network, with great shows like Cup of Cubby Blue with Sarah Sanchez, The Baseball Rabbit Hole with Michael Cotton, and the Cubs PS Plus podcast with Mike Waller. And, of course, this Son Ranto Show is brought to you by our 105 paid Patreon supporters. Please join us at patreon.com/sonranto, and those that do can also join us on Discord after the show for a private conversation where you'll hear my deepest, darkest Cubs thoughts. And I get to hear yours too. It's a little pillow talk for Cub fans. Plus, of course, our super duper ranters, Blake Beard and his magical tickets, Rogue Wave Creative, and Lawrence from Rogue Wave Creative is the featured ranter of the week this week. He's coming on the show. We're going to learn all about Lawrence. I'm so excited to actually get to know him here live in front of everybody. It just feels different when you're performing. And of course, Mike Waller and the Cubs PS Plus podcast is also a fine sponsor of Son Ranto Show and Bleacher Bunch. And he's on Bleacher Bunch. The guy pays to play. What can I say? He's an incredible man. Thank you all for being here tonight. Especially our Patreon supporters, because one of them this month is going to win a Matt Camera permanent painting Ron Santo map piece of art and an In the Clutch shirt. Thank you very much for In the Clutch and Matt Camera for sponsoring the Patreon prize of the month. And tonight we have a very special guest. It's going to be Jeff Ragauskis from the Bricks Behind the Ivy podcast. I myself am a brickhead. We're also going to do a little Cubs cast corral where I'll tell you what's it's a new little segment I'm thinking about. It's got even a neat new fun musical drop that I think you'll enjoy. We're going to do Meet a Ranter with Lawrence from Rogue Wave Creative. And in Act 2, baby, have I got something in store for you? Johnny Onomatopoeia is coming by. Eric Wheelo's coming by to talk about how the Cubs and neither of our three teams are going to side Juan Soto because we're all too poor. Big shout out to Michael Cotton. He's out there in Rancherland and he's sick. He just got back from a little trip to the Carolinas and he came home and he's sick. I was texting with him earlier today. So everybody, if you have his number, bother him because he's sleeping and he shouldn't be sleeping. He should be here on the show right now. But a hashtag chance in the chat, just like Bill Sugas and Bernie Barron and Dominic Galoro, who's back from Mexico. I'm in Mexico, by the way. I'm doing this show from Mexico. I'm in Puerto Vallarta. David Elliott's here. He's saying hashtag chance. You could win a Frank Chance postcard sent to you by me with a message of love and doom. A lot of doom out there to talk about. I might have to send you a full-on letter in a manila envelope. But on that note, I want to introduce our guest, a guy who's got a great new podcast. I don't even know how new it is, but I've been listening to it for a year at least. And it's called Bricks Behind the Ivy. As I said, I am a proud brickhead. Let's bring him on. It's Jeff Candid Cubs Ragauskis.
Hey. Thanks so much for having me on. Really excited to be here today.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, well, that makes one of us. I'm kidding. So, Jeff Ragauskis, just tell us who you are, where you hail from, how you became a Cub fan, all that kind of normal Cubs podcast kind of banter.
Sure.
Let's get through it.
Yeah, exactly. The Cubs origin story. I'm a cradle Cub fan. I come from a family of Cub fans. My first Halloween as a baby, I was Mark Grace. It was 1990. So it was all the rage, just like he was all the rage in Wrigleyville. I grew up, really cut my teeth in 98 with my first heartbreak and have just really loved this team my entire life. Went into mathematics in college because of my love of baseball. was in insurance for a really long time, and then decided that I had a soul. So I got out and went to data analytics to try to pivot into a more baseball focused career. But I currently work for Grubhub. So I do data analytics there. And yeah, Bricks Behind the Ivy. I've been writing about the Cubs for a very long time for fun. And then sometimes I accidentally got paid for it for the poor people I convinced to do that. And decided to try this podcast last year with someone I met through writing articles over at Northside Baseball, and it just has grown through word of mouth. And yeah, we're coming up on a year in February, wrapping up our first season. And yeah, recently for the 105 that donate to the Son Ranto Show, maybe 5 of you want to come donate to the Patreon of Bricks Behind the Ivy, so we can keep the lights on. And I'm right here in the heart of enemy territory. I'm in the south suburbs of Chicago. So I have many actual scars from my smart ass mouth from the south side as an extremely defensive Cubs fan, including two cracked ribs that healed wrong on the one side in 2005 for wearing Red Sox stuff during the White Sox run because I was a dick. But
and you got jumped on the south side for wearing Red Sox gear?
No, I was jumped at my buddy's house for running my mouth at their all White Sox fan party. So that it was earned. It was earned. In hindsight, it wasn't the brightest decision of being in a house of Southside Irish who are extremely drunk and making fun of their team for 3 hours. That just is not going to be received super well.
Well, you get a hell of a lot of respect on this show for that kind of behavior and the battle wounds that you've taken. That's some serious cred, my friend. That is some serious cred, like literal.
Yeah, the glasses are here to fool you. I mean, I'm a dork most of the time, but hey, if I need to get in one of those Southside scuffles, I'm completely useless. I just laid there and took it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm like, what did they look like? I mean, did anybody else? Did at least
they're fine.
Did you get a chunk of an ear or something like that?
No, they just stopped when they felt bad for how loud I was crying.
That is a great defense mechanism. I often prided myself as being able to run away quickly. Adrenaline, I can really I can't sprint in regular life, but when there's people chasing me, I somehow find it in myself. It really is incredible. I really enjoyed your last show. I want to get to that in a second. You were talking with Brian Smith from
Yes.
Northside Bound about some of the Cubs prospects and some of the dudes that you were excited about that are coming up. But before that, I want to talk about. You suggested we talk about some stuff that Joshua Kusnik, I think that's his name. Is it Kusnik? Kusnik has been saying.
He says it at the beginning of every one of his shows, Joshua Kusnik.
But he kind of goes, Joshua Kusnik. Like I was like, is there an H in there? Like, what are we doing? But I want to play a quick TikTok that he put out. And let me just play this and we can respond to it after it's done playing.
Hi, I'm former MLB agent Joshua Kusnik. I'm exhausted and that hurricane sucked. I hope everyone's safe. This guy said, can you explain the Cubs' perspective? Big market money, sell out every game, high concessions, yet they convince their fans of every moronic 5-year plan every fucking 5 years and we buy it. Yes, I can explain this to you. The Ricketts are Republican mega millionaires, and they only care about capitalism. So when you start applying fan and baseball logic to very wealthy American oligarchs, you start to run into this. So they are lying to all of you and running a business, and you're buying into the advertising. These people don't care. These are the people that think that winning and losing is irrelevant because the bottom line is all that matters. So the people that are there for baseball are using the Cubs as an opportunity to springboard to other opportunities. There's nobody there that thinks the Cubs are going to win the World Series. That's my opinion. They all use it for other opportunities. So the fans, stop caring. You're basically glorified pirate fans. Later.
Glorified pirate fans. That hurts.
Yeah.
But to me, and let me just react real quick. I believe that if what he said is true, and that is the case, that they don't really care about winning the World Series. To me, it would make a lot of sense why the last few years have gone like how they have.
Yeah, I think, one thing over at Bricks Behind the Ivy, we talk about is kind of the even keel, not hot take approach. And at times. You know, you're not doing your job in this space unless you get to call the Tom Ricketts apologist or a Tom Ricketts loyalist. Like, if someone DMs you that, then you know, like, someone started to listen to you. So that actually was a big day for me. But you know, I've always tried to kind of dance around the logic of what's going on, the stuff that we don't know, well, versus the stuff that we actually do know. Because unfortunately, I feel like we live in a modern moment of like mild fact running into story before it's actually ever, you know, identified as truth. And yeah, I think it's really interesting. I'm not going to take every word that this guy says, but he's had a lot of interesting Cubs stories of late. And one of the more recent TikToks than that one caught my attention, which is why I've been listening to him just to see if there's any Cub tidbits in there. He did a free agent series where he went with Roki Sasaki and Juan Soto and went through what each team, all 30 teams, would have to do to sign one of these guys. And when he got to the Cubs, his pitch changed a little bit about the organization. He said, Jed Hoyer is a great baseball mind. That front office is top notch, but they're never going to get anywhere as long as Ricketts owns the team. And that to me really stood out as just a monumental shift, even in his original commentary, because he was very Ricketts focused. He was talking about the springboard to other opportunities. But yeah, it's hard to hear as a fan. You don't want to believe it. But we sit here on November 14th, the early days, or like 13 days in the off season, and we've already been publicly eliminating every top tier free agent this offseason. It doesn't feel like how the team should be operated. I know that I've been on a bunch of forums and stuff, have gotten, you know, railroaded by other fans saying, oh, you know, Juan Soto would end up being 24 to, you know, 30 or 40% of their budget moving forward. And I'm like, well, I mean, we've been asking for a star for this lineup, a lefty power hitter, guys that would fit the window of this talent. Theo Epstein always said it's easier to solve a problem with money than by paying the talent of your system, because it's harder to develop more talent in your system than it is to pay someone to be there. And like, it makes you wonder if that's why he left early, because he saw the signs. And yeah, I think I sit on a weird theory of the Cubs weren't like the most liquid organization in 2014, 2015. They had a bunch of money tied up in renovating the ballpark and buying all the things around the neighborhood, which obviously all those are their choices, but like, they really put the foot on the gas to make sure that 2016 team came together with Lester and Hayward and Zobrist. And I think that at that point they might have extended their money, their wallets, as far as they wanted to go until the cash flow came in. And then since then, it has just been like, you know, boo-hoo, they're only worth $6 billion, but it's been hit after hit of what they expected. The ballpark cost 100% more than they budgeted. The TV deal was worth half of what they expected. And then they launched it during the pandemic, and then they closed that entire neighborhood. So we just think, as a finance person sitting here and thinking of all the debt that they're sitting on, like, I'm sure that Pop Ricketts, you know, when he's not donating to the Cheeto, he's not exactly handing out additional funds to Tommy and Laura to field a better baseball team. He probably tells them to figure it out. And I've had a few trusted folks that are a little closer than I am tell me that like Ricketts really, really, truly believes that he's doing the right thing by just giving them a budget and like being hands off. It's just not like what other owners, or at least of the successful organizations, do. And we've heard Scott Boras, which, like, I mean, he's the loudest asshole on the group of assholes. Like, he's said that, like, he doesn't meet Ricketts, or just doesn't do what needs to be done. Like, maybe they need to change the pace. Maybe they do. But yeah, it's just hard for me to sit here as someone who would defend this team almost to an inappropriate degree and say sitting out of Juan Soto is a good choice. It's galaxy brain stupid. It's almost front office malpractice.
Because you're dealing with a generational talent. Juan Soto's don't come around that often. You have to at least try to not do that. I want to do something. It's going to be a new. We'll keep talking about this, but we can talk about it in context of this new bit I'm doing on the show. Check this out. This is the debut of the Cubs Cast Corral.
Cubs Cast Corral. Yeah!
All right. and then you dance for a little bit. You enjoy that. Then we're gonna fade it down. I'm gonna tell you what's happening on the different Cubs podcast all over Cubs Castdom. On the Cubs PS Plus podcast, Mike Waller and Sarah Sanchez, they redid Jed's last offseason. Mike Waller found a way to both sign Shohei Ohtani and get rid of Nick Madrigal. Mike Waller for GM? I think I like the sound of that. And Sarah Sanchez talked about a study that found that the Cubs don't move the needle when it comes to a change in a pitcher's stuff. She called us tragically average, which is also what my wife calls our sex life. On Locked On Cubs, Sam and Matt talked about trading Nico and Belli for financial and positional flexibility and see us linking up with the Mariners, which makes sense because Jed is friends with Jerry DiPoto because they wear a similar color of khaki pants. It was pointed out that if you trade Bellinger, who's your 3-hitter? Well, I think we can solve that. Easy. Juan Soto. On the Recap podcast, Cap and Wittenmeyer talked about the Diamond sports bankruptcies, making it tough for the affected teams to count on the revenue that they counted on, which they pointed out was all the more reason for the Cubs to swing big this offseason because it doesn't affect us. When Ricketts was asked for comments, he said, On the compound, Chris Sale was on, and he talked with Zach Short about how everyone on the Braves is awesome and that they love to play for each other, and they love each other very much, and that's why they're good. Sale said he emulated Matt Thornton coming up, and Hap said he looked up to Rizzo, and then he talked about ripping up those ugly-ass Sox jerseys. And apparently, he used a knife, not scissors, which makes him all the more psycho, in my opinion. And then, on Bricks Behind the Ivy, Jeff was talking prospects with Brian Smith of Northside Bound, talked about their excitement for starters like Jackson Wiggins and even the entire Tennessee Smoky staff next year and all the great talented players we have in the minors. Plus, the idea that Cam Smith might be the man to bring the nerds and meatballs together to hold hands and sing Kumbaya, who along with Matt Shaw could be the third baseman or second baseman of our future. And I believe that probably sums up our Cubs Cast Roundup. And not bad, huh? That's not bad for a first time we did that segment.
No, I like it. I feel very featured and loved. It was nice.
Well, I figure there are 432 Cubs podcasts, I believe, right now. And so maybe, but when I go through the year, if I do 5 at a time, I can get through everybody in a year, maybe. I tried advertising for Bricks Behind the Ivy on Reddit, and somebody wrote under it, like, a Cubs podcast? Did you get a patent? And I was like, jackass. Well, I mean, to be honest, just for a shameless promotion of the Bleacher Bunch, that's kind of why we do what we do is like, well, there are 5,000 of us. Let's put at least 5 of us on one RSS feed. We'll share that, and then we'll always have something going through. And Jeff, it's long hours, no pay, but you're always welcome to post on our RSS feed as well.
Hey, that's exactly what I'm making right now, so I'm happy to join.
Yeah. Su casa, nuestro casa.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. But so let's talk about a couple of those things. Starting backwards, the prospects. You talked with Brian Smith. That was a great show. I don't really follow the minors all that much, so I count on guys like you and Brian, the Gregs, to help me out, you know, and because they love watching it. So what was your takeaway on that? What'd you learn by interviewing Brian?
Yeah, I think, you know, when you look at a major league season that's disappointing, immediately my focus goes on the minor leagues of like, well, if we're going to waste a season, there must be something coming. And obviously there's the top tier prospects that we all have become buzzwords and conversations of so-and-so slumping. So let's just call up, insert one of the top 10 in the Cubs organization right now. And yeah, I think what I learned from Brian was actually a little bit alarming that beyond the top 100 prospects, there wasn't enough emergence in the system, which is something that we heard at the beginning of last year from Jed, was that they are so far ahead and they're moving in a developmental direction that they're really proud of. And at the end of the day, yeah, he didn't feel very confident in what the pitching that was coming up Jan, like there's a bunch of guys that are, showing up in AA next year that have high end potential. They're not exactly young, and then beyond the hitters that we're talking about on a regular basis, there's, there wasn't an additional guy that really broke out as a surprise to come onto that list. So there's a little bit of concern of, when you're sitting here and you're talking about trades, like I feel like everything has been done to avoid the drop off like that happened after the World Series team, because we emptied the cupboard, or all the buzzwords that we've used to describe whatever the hell this stage is of Cubs baseball. But at the end of the day, if we empty the cupboard for a trade or something, then the cupboard feels like it potentially is empty. And that to me was a little worrisome after that conversation, is that we're not as deep as I thought. And there is an injection of another new draft class this year, and maybe some of them emerge, but we are very top heavy. And what we have at the top, like, I don't think there's beyond Matt Shaw, and he's just entering that conversation. We're not talking about like talent that's going to transform this roster. We're talking about solid major league players, which is what you want in your farm system. But yeah, they're still missing that one thing. And that, again, back to Juan Soto, it's like, just get that tattooed to my chest of like, do you want to talk about Juan Soto and the Cubs? Because I bring it up all the time. I've been shot down on Northside Baseball about articles I want to write about. They're like, people are tired of it. I was like, yeah, but I don't think it's sinking in, like, just how ludicrous it is not to be involved in the moment that the Cubs are in.
Yeah. Well, and I just could picture him in pinstripes, not knocking balls, into the right field well, and having like a situation where like right field becomes a popular place to sit again. Just because, like in the Sammy Sosa days, like people went out there. Well, he was the right fielder. That's why. But like,
yeah,
but he would be hitting dongs out there, and it would just be incredible. But yeah, I mean, he really does solve all your problems from like a WAR standpoint, from a star standpoint, from a lengthening the lineup standpoint. But that's, that would do that for any team in the major leagues, and it would just be nice if it was the Cubs. I would like to bring somebody else into this conversation, and that is Lawrence from Rogue Wave Creative. I think his mic is muted, but if you can unmute yourself, Lawrence, There you go. Let's see if we can hear you.
Okay, cool.
We can. Lawrence, welcome to the Son Ranto Show. I would like this is Rogue Wave Creative of Rogue Wave Creative fame. And Jeff, meet Lawrence. Lawrence, Jeff.
Hey, Jeff.
Nice,
you have a nice basement.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, this is not a background. It's real. Like,
yeah, no, it looks great.
I know I'm a millennial, but I did a lot of it myself. I know we've been slammed for our handyman skills of late, but like, I am a dangerous person with a nail gun. So, and I almost proved that a few times down here.
Yeah. Do you have all your digits?
I will not raise my hands and just dignify that question with this response.
So, Lawrence, you are our featured ranter of the week. And first of all, I'm digging the glasses. Did you get that idea from Boog? Because, Boog
No.
He got it from you, didn't he?
Yeah, I was going to say the other way around.
Zenny Optical is the greatest. I can get progressives for $30. It's like the most ridiculous thing ever. Yeah, I got like 5 pairs of these in different colors. But yeah, this was before Boog.
Oh, so Boog's ripping you off in the style. I mean, I was called. I think you wear it way better than Boog.
Yeah, but he has better shoes. He has better shoes.
Oh well, don't we know about it? Oh, geez, he talks about his shoes more than the goddamn game is. What unfortunately is. I know more about that than the half the team's OPS, because he doesn't even bother to tell us that. But so Lawrence, where do you hail from originally?
Chicago. I actually grew up in Cicero.
Okay.
Yeah, Cicero, and then we, when I got older, we of course did our white flight to the suburbs because you just don't know. And I grew up there and kind of actually lived in a lot of different cities. Denver, lived in Seattle still in Seattle part-time, but I'm actually going back there in about a month. But that's where I grew up in Cicero. That's where I started going to Cubs games, taking the what was that, the Red?
The Red, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was
Right.
9 years old. I got on the train and went to my first Cubs game by myself.
So correct me if I'm wrong, though. The Cicero's on the south side, down by Jeff, where Jeff lives, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
not too
yeah,
far
it's
from me.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's the Laramie exit, I think, of the Eisenhower.
Okay.
So,
So
yeah, and
now-
then it kind of.
Do you have any cracked ribs to show like Jeff does? Because Jeff got beat up by Sox fans.
No. Well, actually, I went to high school with a lot. I went to St. Joe's out in the suburbs, and a lot of the guys that went there, it was funny. Catholic schools, everybody thinks they're like, people are like, so it's basically people that get kicked out of public schools. So basically, I went to school with like 5 mafia kids, because, or like syndicate kid, like the Accardos and stuff, because they all got kicked out of like public schools, and they ended up at St. Joe's would take anybody because they needed those, the Christian brothers, I guess, they need the money. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We'll take them. We'll whip them. Well, that's back when they could beat you too, like at the
Yes.
schools.
Oh,
And they're
yeah.
like, well, we'll take your bad kids because we're allowed to beat them. I don't know about the public schools. They're getting too soft. I do want to mention it in the comments right now. We do have some bitch clock topics for our wheel of grievances, but if you have any more to add to this list so far we've got Cubs annual taglines, Cub fans being taken for granted, gold glovers who can't hit. I wonder who they're talking about with that. Our Republican owners, rumors of a Nico trade, and Jed's shitty sales pitch for Sasaki, which actually doesn't seem to exist. I don't even know if there is a sales pitch. But if you have any more bitch clock topics, please put them in the chat and I will add them to the list, and we'll spin the wheel in a couple of minutes for both Lawrence and Jeff. But let me ask you, Lawrence, so you told me how you became a Cub fan from being from Chicago, but what kept you here these last few years as the team has basically sagged into the doldrums?
Honestly, I love baseball. I really started MLB TV. I know MLB does crazy stuff and their average, fan is like 58. But I will say MLB TV, I travel a lot, and it's like, I just love that I can watch any game anywhere, and it's what, $20 a month or 25, I don't know. It's very reasonable, but like with the Cubs, it's like I just kind of have, to be honest, I kind of ignore them. It's like,
Uh-oh.
I mean, well, no, I'll tell you, when they won the World Series, not to be, remorse, my mom passed like basically a couple days before the Cubs won the World Series. But I remember that, and it was so wonderful. But it's like, the last 2-3 years, I mean, it's just so weird. But those cup snakes, or what do they call them? The cup, those things get
cup
long,
snakes.
so they seem to be making money. But I don't know. You guys talk about it, way more than I do. But it's like, it just seems like that roster construction is just so bizarre. I don't see how they're going to win more than 80 games or whatever. But I don't know. I love baseball. It's
The margins.
I grew up in, yeah.
Ask Council. It's all about the margins.
Well, and I think that goes with kind of what we were just talking about before you came on, which is that the Cubs probably care more about, well, not the Cubs, the Ricketts care more about kind of using the Cubs for their own sort of political, social standing within the country. Pete Ricketts just became a senator, just was elected senator. So they're rising stars. They're covering all bases like the Kennedys. They've got the gay Democrat sister. They've got the rich Republican dad who's racist. They've got the even keel, middle of the road guy, Tom Ricketts, who's just a baseball guy who wants to win. And then they got the staunch senator from the Midwest. It seems like they're trying to cover their base. Oh, and then the dumb guy who raised all the money for Trump and threw away hot dogs on Undercover Boss. There's him too. But so they're covering their bases amongst these things. So is it possible that what we're seeing on the field is evidence that they don't give a crap? And does it feel that way to you, or do you think they're doing enough to win?
No, I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, maybe I'm like, I was thinking about this before I got on, and maybe Jeff would remember this. Do you guys remember when the Ricketts bought the Cubs, there was that audio, that somebody accidentally recorded where the Ricketts were talking to their dad and they were saying, we've got to buy the Cubs because the fans are suckers and they'll do anything, we'll make a shitload of money, blah, blah, blah. I mean, did that really happen, or am I imagining? I thought it did.
It did. It was maybe Jeff knows the exact quote, but Papa Joe Ricketts in an interview had said, he goes, when my kids came to me and said, I think it's a good idea that we buy the Cubs. They looked at it as a distressed asset. Sam Zell had just bought the Tribune along with the Cubs. They ripped it to its studs, and then for the sale, like, all right, somebody's going to come in and renovate this building, sort of thing. Literally, the building of Wrigley Field, and the sales pitch of the kids to Papa Joe was, hey, these guys, we're coming last place, and these guys will sit there and in the bleachers, 40,000 people a year in Chicago will come to this thing. They'll drink expensive beer. They don't care if you lose or win. They're just having a good time. And Papa Joe said, well, that sounded like a good business to me. So, and he thought he was just being whimsical and fun and that we would all like that phrase. But, we've been pointing back to it this whole time saying, I think that, well, it kind of reminds me of, when they have that interview of Donald Trump back in the 80s saying, oh, if I ever run as for president, I'm absolutely going to run as a Republican because I can tell those people no matter anything I want to, and they'll just believe me and they don't care, and he said that, and then of course, because at the time he was a Democrat, so he switched so he could win. Because he felt like those people were more easily manipulatable. And obviously he's right. I think Cub fans are easily manipulatable almost in the exact same way. So that is exactly right. And so whether we won't choose to believe it or not, and I don't know, do you believe it? Do you see enough evidence at this point that you think that they're just selling us a bill of goods?
Probably. I mean, I think they're trying. I mean, I don't think Jed's a complete moron, but it's like, maybe a little bit. But I mean, it's like with him. I mean, even when he was with San Diego, that team was like 500. I mean, he's never really done anything on his own. But it's like, I don't know, man. It's like it just seems like they can't spend the money, and I don't think that's him. I don't think it's his. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm sure he has like they say, he's literally has a budget, but it's like it's been almost 5 years now. I mean, it's like, you're way too big of a market team to just be like, hanging out, and it's only going to get harder because these teams now, it's like, what is it? Half the teams get in, so it's like. It's going to get more. It's going to be like hockey is now. It's like you got to have 90 points or 92 points just to get in the playoffs. It's the same with I don't think 80 is going to do it anymore. I think you're going to have 85 or 90 wins just to be a wild card. I don't. It's just going to get
underestimating the large amount of teams in baseball though that don't care about winning, and I think that's one of the biggest issues of the modern game is like a good chunk of the billionaire sales pitch for 16 teams every year is, well, if the ball bounces the right way, like we have a shot because there's more seats at the table. And baseball is so inherently random that all you have to do is get to the dance, and then like you could win the whole damn thing by being hot for a month. Ask the White Sox in 2005. I mean, I'm just kidding. That's shots fired. But
you're gonna get a couple more broken ribs if you keep that up.
Asking for lefty to get smashed up now. But
I don't think that's totally untrue. I mean, look at what they did after that.
It's tough though, just because I think, I understand what they're selling us. Like it's not like they're not talking at us like we're dumb. But then they're kind of acting like we're dumb. They're doing the things that don't make sense. They're doing things. And I would argue Jed Hoyer's job is infinitely harder if it's either his mandate or the Rickett mandate to not go after big contract players, because threading the needle and winning at the margins is something that many major league teams struggle with. Like they absolutely struggle with, because what you're paying for in those margin moves are guys that have a ceiling, but like a dramatically lower floor, and you don't know what you're getting there. It's a lotto ticket. So if you go buy a guy like Juan Soto, it's going to cost a lot. I think about like shopping for TVs. Like if you're really into picture and stuff like that, and you're really into like Hertz and like the OLED or whatever, you can buy like a $2,000 TV and it's going to look perfect. Yeah. You could buy one on Black Friday for $200 that's made from some company in Japan that like once met a guy that worked at the place that made the good TV, and it'll work for a while. But then like there's a half-life to that, or maybe it doesn't work the way you think it's going to work, or it breaks a lot quicker. Like you would have just saved yourself a ton of money and time if you just bought the really good TV once and sat on it for like 10, 15 years instead of buying 4 $300 TVs over the next 4 or 5 years. It's going to equal the same cost. So like I feel like that's what Jed Hoyer's job is every year. Like, here's your budget, go find like the edges, go make something work with the edges. And maybe that's why he's been so focused on the farm. It's like, well, if I can't go buy it, I got to build it. And like that's also infinitely harder because like you can't teach pitching. That's just not, you can teach stuff, but stuff is ruining all these kids' arms. So then pitching is at a premium. Like since pitching's at a premium, pitching has gotten so hard, hitting the baseball is way harder than it's ever been. You can't take numbers seriously at AAA because the guys who are at AAA literally don't like belong in baseball in a majority of the portion of the rotations. Like most AAA rotations are 3 guys that just can throw 5 innings. And then there's 2 prospects in there that might be worth a shit. And then everyone else that's good is in the bullpen. And that's why you see these AAA players have like Matt Mervis and stuff have monster numbers. And they come in the major leagues. It's like, yeah, everyone here throws 97. This guy hits 94. Like that's the gap has never been bigger. So I feel bad for him. But like the interesting thing to me about it is like, I have not felt like there's been this like rhetoric this offseason of like Jed's on the hot seat. I think the fans have made this rhetoric, which like we want him to be on the hot seat because we don't accept the results anymore. But like, where's Crane Kenny? Where's all the bullshit that came out last year where like they did the radio tour of like, hey, Jed's got money to spend and like just dump up the back up the truck. We got all this money. And then Shohei gets signed. It's like, we don't have any money. We changed our minds. We don't have money. And then like, because like they didn't want to run into Boris's hand, but it just feels like this offseason has been immediately, we're doing nothing and then silence. So then like you're sitting here thinking, oh, is it assassin Jed like that got Craig Counsell, or is it literally his hands are tied so much he has no idea what to do?
David Elliott says in the chat, we're buying $300 TVs from Temu, hoping we can fool someone into thinking it's the real thing.
That's right. Like Dansby Swanson is Timo Bobby Witt Jr. Like,
yeah, he's Temu Bobby Witt.
You look really close. It's like they both have really, really good gloves, and like the back of the baseball card is nice. The hair, both of them have great hair. But then like you put the glasses back on, you're like, shit, that guy gets 240. The other guy's the MVP. So like,
well, it's like if you looked at Dansby from the side versus straight away, you'd see like a stick or something. That's a great analogy.
Great comp. Well, David also says Jeff nailed it, and I think I agree with that. And you do oftentimes on the show. So if you don't listen to Bricks Behind the Ivy, you should and become a brickhead yourself. So why don't we give the bitch clock a spin? Let's have a little fun. Then we're going to take a commercial break. Eric Wheelo's coming on. Johnny Onomatopoeia is coming on. We're going to let Jeff and Lawrence get on with their evenings. And in the meantime, I'm going to present my screen, and we'll take a look. And if there's anything you guys want me to add to this wheel, please let me know. I do have a few categories on the wheel of grievances. Cubs annual tagline, I already said those. I got to put a couple of new ones, though. Silver slugger snubs. That's hard to say. And then ham or turkey for Thanksgiving. And I don't really know what that means, but I'm going to leave it in there. And I added this one, racing to the middle. And I think you know what I might mean by that. So I'm going to give this sucker a spin. And who would like to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay. I'm going to put you in the hot seat. Oh, you're going to get this one. Of course. Ham or turkey for Thanksgiving.
Okay, I'm really nervous about doing this, so be nice.
Well, you can say whatever the hell you want, really, and it'll be right, Lawrence. So it really doesn't matter. So so we'll get you started here. Are you ready?
I'm as ready as I'll ever be. Let's go.
Clock, you have 30 seconds to bitch.
When I was a kid growing up, my mom would be smoking 3 packs a day, and we'd go to Honey Baked Ham for hams, which was really actually disgusting. In fact, fast fact, O.J. Simpson owned a Honey Baked Ham place. And I don't know what else to say other than I love turkey, and Thanksgiving is great. That's it. Sorry.
Very nice. Very nice. No, it's all about being concise, Lawrence, and you were were very clear in the fact that ham is not what you eat on Thanksgiving. That is a freaking Easter dish. Everybody knows Jesus brought the
know
ham.
These things, right?
No. Jesus brought the ham, not the pilgrims.
That's right.
Yeah. You don't see little kids dressing up like pigs in the Thanksgiving pageant. They dress like turkeys. So anybody eating a ham on Thanksgiving, you're just not American. I don't know what to tell you.
Has
all right,
nothing to do with turkey having a hard time surviving the winter and needing to be sold in the fall. It's nothing to do with profits.
Nothing to do with that. Do they still pardon turkeys? That always felt like a really morose sort of.
Actually, I just read that there's a half-killed turkey that's going to be the head of agriculture in the Trump cabinet. So.
Oh, nice. That makes sense. As you can see, I've been named Secretary of Cubs.
Yeah.
As you can tell from my picture here. So, all right, I'm going to put this sucker back up, and we're going to give it a spin for you, Jeff. We're going to take ham or turkey out of there because that's been done. We've decided no ham. Okay, I'm giving it a spin. Round and round she goes. Where she stops, only the wheel of grievances knows. Ooh, Silver Snow. I don't even know who this refers to.
I don't even know. Seiya Suzuki.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. Well, we can. Are you ready to riff on this sucker?
I'm ready.
All right.
Clock, you have 30 seconds to bitch.
Seiya Suzuki, one of the most productive players in the Cubs offense, which is like being the brightest crayon in the crappiest box of Crayola, did not get the Silver Slugger this year, even though his production was higher than the end-up winner in the NL. But let's face it, he's probably not using the bat that's branded by the award, just like Rolling Stone gloves. So, Seiya Suzuki, you're going to have to sit out because the bat use is incorrect. Sorry, buddy. That's the way the world works.
No.
Stop your bitching.
Very nice. I tell you, I'm with you, Jeff, because every time all the Cub fans get mad that the Cubs didn't win an award, I can't believe he's been snubbed. I'm like, you guys, we're like really average. We don't have that exciting of players. Like, sure, maybe the defense and stuff, but yeah.
I mean, even then, like the defense failed them like for the first part of the year last year, which like when you're going to have a contact-based pitching staff, it's just not acceptable. And another aged year for Dansby Swanson, like how he's going to lose his step left and the right, and he already has a poor arm. Yeah, a little nervous about that, but another bitch clock another day.
Yeah. Oh no, we'll have plenty of time to bitch about that.
The Cubs remind me of the Spider-Man meme where they're just pointing at it. Could have 9 of them. It's like they're just pointing at each other, doing the same thing. You should get
I'm pretty sure that if you did all the jersey sales of all the Cubs players, they still wouldn't crack the top 25 as Cubs jerseys. Like that's how. Like I mean, I'm sorry. Hey, Tommy and Joseph, like stop the racist emails about Juan Soto and like send something to Tom and tell him go sign the guy that brings in the fucking revenue. Sorry for the language.
No, you're absolutely no, you're right. I mean,
top jerseys, salesmanship. The guy's going to bring in ads. It's Shohei Ohtani all over again. Like this is absurd. It just it blows my mind.
And they've got to have declining attendance because like towards the end of last year, I went to every single game I could with 5-6 tickets in my pocket. Everybody's giving me tickets. Hey, I can't go. Nobody's interested. Like, because nobody cares. You can't sell them online. That's got to trickle down.
Well,
and at some point,
yeah, I mean,
they ran through the list.
Yeah, SeatGeek has screwed the average fan too. Like that dirty secret. I got rid of my Cub tickets this year. They use an AI algorithm to tell you how good the deal is. And a lot of people pick the best deal, but the AI algorithm rates all of Wrigley seats in the second deck as the same price. but the Cubs charge astronomically different prices depending on what row you're in. So that means for us who are in the front of section 300 are have to charge last row prices. Otherwise, the AA bot won't put their ticket on the consumer's eyes. So you're taking a freaking bath on every seat. And the Cubs are like, why aren't you coming back? It's like, well, you're charging me $70 a seat. And StubHub or SeatGeek tells me if you don't sell this game for $3, you have to keep it. So it's just it's insane.
Exactly. So, I know, and I've been a beneficiary of that many times, and I thank you to all the Patreon subscribers who do, especially Rogue Wave Creative, provided us with tickets and beer all year long last year. It's been a long time sponsor of the Son Ranto Show, and Lawrence, I really do thank you for it. You know, you're one of our main supporters here on the Son Ranto Show, and it really does help us out a lot. And if you want to just real quick plug Rogue Wave Creative. For yourself?
I mean, Rogue Wave Creative, we do branding, graphic, web design, like you say, every week, and social media, even though, to be honest with you, I'm so sick of social media. Although Blue Sky's pretty cool, man. It's like Twitter. You know, I was reading, did you know that Blue Sky was actually started by Jack Dorsey?
Yeah,
it was a side project he was doing like in 2019. You could tell because it's like Twitter was like 10 years ago. It's like you're getting in the feed, you're getting like actual subjects that you're interested in, that you're following, versus, Hitler Youth or whatever. But anyways, we've been in business for 27 years, got customers all over the world. I mean, I'm very fortunate. I had one corporate America job, and I would always get anxiety attacks when I'd go into conference rooms, and I'm not joking. So I just decided I got to do my own thing, because I literally, somebody thought I was like having a heart attack once, and I was like, 23 years old.
Oh man,
like, no, it's just you and everybody else. But so I'm very lucky that way. I get to. It's very, and I appreciate you guys too. Thank you so much for having me on. And I mean, it's great following you guys. And I got to get to some games this year in Chicago.
Definitely. Well, I mean, they have 81 of them, and I'll be at.
And they're going to be real cheap.
Yeah. We'll get Juan Soto. Yeah, we'll just be in those $3. Jeff's old $3 seats.
Yeah. Can we have one of those cans in the hallway, like in Ferris Bueller? It's like, save Soto, and like walk around and like just to see if we can get him like a new liver before we can actually afford him to play at the field. Like,
God, what it's gonna take, unfortunately. So, and then of course, Bricks Behind the Ivy podcast can't leave without plugging that. Jeff, tell us like where can we find the show? When do you record? I know Fridays, right? Is that the normal day?
Usually Fridays. We're not going to have one this week. We had Mike Waller on and Alex Platt doing. We were doing a 2025 Dream off season. I think it's going to surprise everyone in this room that I went on a rant about Juan Soto on the podcast, but we had some technical difficulties. We're gonna have to re-record that, but we've got some good guests, and we're going to start a series that we're calling Cubstory. We're going to do a decade-by-decade analysis and quick shots of Cub history. One of my favorite things about baseball is it's like a soap opera. Like, you can watch Days of Our Lives like on a Wednesday for the first time ever and get an idea of what's going on. But like, if you haven't been watching for 30 years, the context is out of whack. That's how baseball is. So hopefully we can put something together for new baseball fans, like come in and educate themselves pretty quickly on what the Cubs are. So stay tuned for that. We just launched a Patreon as well. We have 3 tiers of subscribers. Check us out. Patreon gets the episodes on Friday, and it's wide release, no content ever behind a paywall on Mondays. So go check it out. Bricks Behind the Ivy, wherever you listen to podcasts, and go to YouTube. I spend a lot of time editing my weird sense of humor into the videos. So appease me, go there, make comments, and laugh at my stupid 80s SNL movie jokes I drop into almost every episode, so that I will continue to do them even if you don't like them, because that's who I am, and I'm sorry. So,
And
It's your show.
It's your show. You can do whatever the hell you want.
yeah, my producer is like just keeps telling me to do it, and my producer is me. So,
and you got a great TikTok too. I always repost it on the Bleacher Bunch TikTok as well, because I want everybody to see what you're doing, because you're a talented guy and you say great stuff and you got a good head on your shoulders. And I appreciate you coming on our show and making me and my show look good.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
And the same to you
guys for a long time.
Thanks, Jeff. And well, I'm sure we'll talk again this off season. And Lawrence, thanks for being here. I dig
Thank you.
Astros hat. And
This logo in baseball.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna play a quick commercial for Patreon. Please join us at patreon.com/sonranto. You can join us after the show in the Discord. Hang out with us. You hear all our deepest, darkest Cubs secrets. But I'm just gonna play a quick commercial for that. But thanks, Jeff, and thanks, Lawrence. And we'll be right back with Eric Wheelo and Johnny Onomatopoeia. Here we go. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
The Son Ranto Show has hired me, a professional voiceover actor, to tell you why you should become a Son Ranto Patreon patron at patreon.com/sonranto. First of all, it's only $1 a month. And if you can't afford $1, I don't even know that the Son Ranto Show wants you as a listener, because you're too poor to even hang out with anyway. Also, as a Patreon member, you get the Son Ranto Show ad-free, and the Patreon-only podcast called Cubs Pod, which releases daily during the season with bonus episodes all off-season long. Son Ranto Patreon members are also eligible to win a monthly prize, get exclusive Son Ranto Discord page privileges, and there are more perks at every level. Plus, 10% of your Patreon support goes to help the Lost Boys Youth Baseball Program as we give back to our community. So what are you waiting for? Spend your hard-earned money on tickets and beer for the Son Ranto Show by subscribing at patreon.com/sonranto. Otherwise, they'll think you're a poor loser. A big, fat, dorky, poverty-stricken loser. Take it from me and by commanding professional voice, and become a Son Ranto Patreon supporter right now.
If you like the Cubs a bunch, buy your t-shirts from In the Clutch. We've got all the best styles for you. Dansby, Saya, Morel too. Clark Fly in his double U. Cody Bellinger smoking dupes. Vintage shirts from days of old. Patrick Wisdom and Nico. You'll look sharp wearing your stro. 10% off with the code SONRANTO. SONRANTO. InTheClutch.com is your store for the most fun baseball shirts on the planet. Don't forget to use promo code SONRANTO to knock a couple bucks off your purchase. Stack or die, we need more cups. Get it all at In The Clutch. Cause if you like the Cubs a bunch, buy t-shirts from In The Clutch. Get it all at In The Clutch. Get it all at In The Clutch.
Do you ever find yourself longing for long walks and talks about catcher metrics? How about a coffee or run differential? Maybe a candlelit dinner dissecting what exactly is the curious case of Miles Mastrobuoni? If you have, I have just the place for you, the Cubs PS Plus podcast. Come join us. Cubs PS Plus, a Northside numbers game, can be found wherever it is you get your podcasts, and on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, all at Cubs PS Plus, a spin on the baseball metric OPS Plus. Are you ready? I'm ready. Here we go.
And welcome back to the Son Ranto Show. And in the house, we got Johnny Onomatopoeia, the host of the Mortar in the Bricks and Behind the Ivy podcast. And I butchered that. I'm so sorry. You went to all that trouble. And Eric Wheelo, he's been here a lot. He talks about the Brewers and everybody pretends to hate him and he pretends to like us.
They're not booing, they're brewing.
Hey! So none of our teams are going to get Juan Soto in this Juan Soto sweepstakes, but only one of us knows what it's like to have Juan Soto on their team and win a World Series with him. And his name is Johnny Onomatopoeia.
This is true.
So, if in case you don't know these guys, I want to just introduce you to everybody. Johnny, here he is at the World. I believe you're at the World Series with your mom here, or the playoffs at the very least.
That's right. It wasn't the World Series, but that's us in the playoffs.
And there's you and me at Wrigley Field when I was a slimmer, more heroin-looking junkie man, and you wearing a Baby Shark hat.
Yeah, and I got on national television with that Baby Shark hat.
Yeah, you did.
Danny, have you ever looked more homeless? I mean, come on, man. Like...
the sad answer to that is yes, I have absolutely. And it was probably while I was sleeping outside without a home. That definitely made me look homeless when I was on the.
You upgraded the sailor's hat, though, so we're really proud of you for that. And there we go.
That hat I'm wearing there is actually signed by Joe Madden. So,
okay.
The little fun fact.
Fun fact about me. Hey!
And there's Eric Wheeler. And now this is the moment where I knew that you were in for the long haul with the Ranters. When you had to suffer through a Cubs walk-off win at Miller Park with Crawley in your face, showing nipple in your eyeball, just ruining your life. And you did not punch him out. So I gained a lot of respect for you that day. And here's you and me and flicking each other off after your show, because a lot of people don't know this. Eric's a stand-up comedian. He's very talented. And
you know, a lot of people see Eric's show and still don't know that he's a comedian.
How dare you, John?
What do you do for a living after you host these other comedians doing shows?
Yeah.
So, but you're also part of the Up and Adams show, right?
Yeah, we're Up and Adams show. We're doing that. You know, we're doing our thing. We talk football, but mostly baseball's my gag. And we're happy to be here, Danny. Thank you for bringing me through memory lane, baby. I love it. It's like this is your life, and I love that it's me flipping you off and me celebrating Crawley and not punching him in his face. My favorite picture that you didn't have is me actually in the bleachers with Crawley, who could not be more happy to have me. Like my first game at the bleachers, I'm with my girlfriend Ellie, and I'm like, I don't have a ticket. He's like, no, you just got to cut through the security guard. Just got to cut through him. Just like look down and just, show him this. He sends me this like QR code. It's like, just walk right by. My girlfriend goes right by. They stop me. Crawley goes up to the security guard and immediately is just like, he's fine. He's with us. Yells at them. And they go, okay, all right.
Okay. Don't kill us.
I met Eric's girlfriend at Ranchers Fest this year, and I met her, and she was hanging out with Crawley. And, there's a thing with Crawley where you spend a little bit of time and you become a war buddy with him.
Yes.
Like, you spend 15 minutes with that guy, and you've seen everything. The two of you know each other better than you know anyone else. And she had that with Crawley. Like, they were walking around. I'm like, how do they know each other? And it was just that brief time at the game where he yelled at her, and now they're thick as thieves.
And then Crawley passed out in a little corridor after the comedy show at Ranters Fest, and the rest is history. Johnny, you slept next to him, right? Same room?
Yeah, no one.
Somebody was. Yeah, no. I don't even know what. Well, I know what happened to Crawley later after Ranters Fest is that I had to go get him after everybody had performed because I was the only one sober enough to go get him. And I was like, man, I'm in the middle of throwing a festival. And like, I find Crawley's like in a doorway. And I'm like, bro, you can't be in this doorway, dude. Like people are calling on you.
The wildest part is like Saturday. I'm like, Crawley's not going to be alive. And then we show up to the Saturday, like live event. He's the first one there and he's sprier than anybody. And I'm like, just the endurance of this man is mesmerizing. Like and he teaches kids at a school. I went to him. I'm like, what is it? A school of the blind, you drunk piece of shit? Like, what are we doing?
Well, I mean, that's why they're getting rid of the Department of Education anyway. They're like, well, look at this guy. I mean, they went, they just had a picture of Carl. They're like, we're paying this guy to do what? Look at him. He's in the doorway sleeping.
He literally looks at me. He's like, all right, you're coming to my lake house and doing jet skis with me, right? And I'm like, that's just who he is. Now we're going to ride jet skis this summer. I love it.
Yeah. No, Crawley is actually one of the he's one of the most knowledgeable Cub fans. He knows all the history, he knows all the trivia, but he knows just everything that happens on the team. Like I'm sure he wakes up in the middle of the night, checks his notifications to see if the Cubs have made a transaction, even anytime during the GM meetings or whatever it is. So, but I got to ask you guys, like talking about GM meetings, they just happened. Johnny, I know that you keep up with the DC sports, and are the Nationals do they have any inkling that they could try? They offered him $400 million. It's going to take more than that to get Juan Soto back in DC. Is there any kind of idea that they might try to really do it?
No, but there's the idea that they'll talk about doing it. And there's the idea here's my favorite thing is the idea that maybe Juan will have some nostalgia for his days in DC. I mean, it's not like he was born there, but to hear the commentators talk about it on DC radio, they're like, he loves the Beltway. I mean, no one loves the Beltway. It's like,
Johnny, I did this in the sweetest way ever. And one of my favorite stories is like the Juan Soto commercials. I mean this in the polite way. They gave him commercials when he didn't even know English yet, and it's amazing that he speaks it now. And he's such a great advocate of the game. But those commercials, I mean, I don't know.
He's not a DC native. He could have had some formative years there, but it's not like he's going home. I'm going home to where I was when I was 19.
Yes.
It's like,
which is still pretty young. I mean, and he
might have been 24. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. The record keeping.
But if you look at DC, last year they had the youngest team of all the teams, pretty much, I think, and they had some old pitchers that are still hanging on, and they're just kind of towards the end of their career. But when they're ready to like flip it around, I mean, DC has won as many World Series as the Cubs, and
that's
certainly more than the Brewers have won.
How dare you? But that's math. Hey, I don't argue with math. It's true. It's true.
This is a fact-based show. But so. And Juan Soto is the guy that led you to it. So, I mean, I don't really think that having nostalgia for winning a World Series in a certain uniform with a certain city would be that far off. Like, I could see having nostalgia.
I think we saw it with Bryce Harper though, because Bryce Harper was there in DC at the All-Star game, getting pitched to by his father for the home run derby.
And he cheated to Kyle Schwarber. Yes, I remember.
That's right. And then that was mentioned. But these guys have these agents, or the same agent, Boris or whoever, and every time he's had a player in DC, with the pitchers and everyone, Trey, all of them. They've all left. And so how long can we do the narrative of like, maybe they just like being, in Northwest DC? It doesn't work.
This year, though, you really battled. I think you're like one of the top teams in stolen bases, a young team, good defense. Like, there is a good youth hope for the Nationals, like, coming up. Like, if I'm you going into the season, I'm going, the Nationals will be, 500 team, but coming from nothing, right? And the development and the rebuild seems like it's working out. Would you agree with that?
I agree, but if you're Juan, you want to see some pitching too, right? Yeah. I mean, he can only score so many runs. He needs to see that there's a platoon that's going to back him up.
Yep. Yeah. Did you hear there's a secret team, like
there's always a secret team. Oh my God.
You're not going to fall. Knicks, according to a lot of reporters, for a certain Juan Soto, and they're saying it's not the Rays. They're hinting that the Brewers are in the mix.
Who's hinting?
Uh-huh.
Like you mean on like Milwaukee radio that there's like DJs that are seriously seriously saying that we have a chance of getting
they say there's a team in the mix, and I have a feeling we could be in the mix. Would he go to the Brewers? No, but the way we've saved money and the way we haven't put payroll into this team, and you have a Christian Yelich, and you have a Contreras, and you have a Hoskins, and you have a pitching staff, and you have a reliever, and you have a team that consistently goes to the playoffs in a very hitter-friendly field. Are we going to do it?
No, your team is up. Yeah.
I would be – no, my ears perked up. I know we're not going to do it, but it's interesting. I read it and I went,
How close is your stadium to the airport?
like
Like how easy is for him to get out of town?
Do you guys still have an airport, or did that thing get shut down?
What?
Well, everything just started falling apart last year. You had the escalators breaking down. I assume the airport was built by the same people.
Guys, we have an airport in Green Bay. We got one in Appleton. We got one in Madison. I mean, if you want to get out, you can get out. You know, that's what I'm saying.
Eric, those are driveways. We're talking about like things that planes can take.
No, do they land in a farm? Yes, but it's 3 connections wherever you got to go, but you're getting out. You know.
Yeah, Juan Soto really into crop circles, by the way. So maybe you do have a chance. Loves cheese, but I mean. I think that every single team in Major League Baseball and the billionaire owner that owns the team could afford Juan Soto.
Sure.
And it really is going to come down to where he wants to play. Was he always like a little kid who was like, I want to wear Yankee pinstripes because that's the thing? Or like he
already did.
Or if he's like, maybe like, fuck USA, I'm going to Canada. I'm going to play with the Blue Jays. Like, I don't know what he'll do. There's some teams that obviously are going to have some headwinds. Financial.
I haven't listened earlier in the show. Are the Cubs in the mix?
No, we're the team that got ahead of it. Like, everybody settle down. We hate the sports writers, so we're not going to let them, speculate all offseason that we're getting at Juan Soto. We're going to tell everybody we're getting ahead of it. There's no way we're going to do it. And when Cody Bellinger opted in, even though they're putting him on the trade block, they're putting him on the Belli's on the block. Nico Horner's on the block, even though he's injured. I don't know who the hell would trade for him, but they're making it very clear that they're looking for this kind of roster and payroll flexibility. And then the Cub fans are like, oh, why? Because then we can get Juan Soto? No, it's so that they can do some other dumb shit that isn't Juan Soto that they think is smarter than Juan Soto. So, and that's the way we're operating right now. And especially the Cubs should be in on this. There's a generation of talent, and we're not even in. It's ridiculous.
Perspective from last season when you were in on Ohtani and you were in on, who was that pitcher from the Dodgers got that started
Yamamoto.
From Japan. And you guys were all in and you guys were so disappointed. And now you're just come to acceptance that you're not going to be in just from last season.
We get the second best guy. Even though we had a good year out of Shota Imanaga. I mean, it was great. Way more than we expected. It's a great deal for us. Yamamoto was the big prize. So even with the shortstop. So Dansby Swanson was like the 4th best guy. Johnny,
it's second city baseball.
Exactly.
City baseball.
And so we're coming. So we win 83.
Brewer's little brother, as I like to say.
That's what's happening. It's freaking embarrassing. And Johnny, like you said, I would have loved to have Trey Turner. That you used to call him my boy Trey.
That's my boy. Yeah.
My boy Trey. Most handsome man in baseball.
Gosh.
And we didn't get him, and he just goes to the Phillies and ends up in the playoffs every year.
Yep.
Yeah. But he's been around. I mean, he was on the Dodgers. Here's the thing is with I don't know anything about baseball, but it seems like with the trade portals and all that stuff, these players are playing on every other team every other year. So what's the point? There's no loyalty. There's no Schwarber was on the Nats during their run, but I think of him as a Cub, and you still think of him but wasn't he just on the Yankees or the Dodgers? I don't know. It's like these same guys are everywhere. So I feel less and less interested every year. There's no person tied to the personality of a city or a team. They just so who cares?
Kyle Hendricks just signed with the Angels. Lifelong Cub.
I was hoping he'd be a Brewer.
Well, that would have sucked for us because he's going to find it again, and he'll be able to be pitching 88, and we can't hit it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't really know how much future he has left because he was kind of felt like it was ending for him as a Cub. But it would have been nice if they could have found somewhere for him to be. It's just like, oh, the back end of the rotation. We don't really have room. We don't. It wouldn't make sense. But
So are you guys in, like, that's in the mix?
So
You go
sad.
second tier guys. Like, would you be in the mix for like Willie Adames, who's a free agent, who plays short, who said he's willing to play second, but obviously you have Nico, and he said he'd be willing to play third. Would you even be in the mix for a guy like that?
If they want to switch shit up, absolutely. But they're going to have to get that roster and financial flexibility back on their side, because right now they're kind of locked up. You went and traded for Paredes. He's your third baseman right now. You got Nico Horner, even though he's going to start the season injured. You got maybe some rookies that are going to back him up. You're going to bring up Vasquez. You might let Matt Shaw have a chance. Like you're blocking your prospects too at the same time as like, so you're just going to have to like move on from somebody, and they always refuse to do it.
Infielders in locked-in deals, right, for 2 more years, correct?
And outfielders.
Yeah.
We got Happ locked in. We got Suzuki locked in. We got Bellinger locked in, because he opted in. And then you're going to try to keep giving PCA a chance in center field to continue to develop. So it's like we are kind of locked up. So unless they do something, we're not going to get a Willie Adames because he's redundant.
Yep.
But would be an upgrade if you get rid of one of your guys.
Yeah.
So,
and you guys don't get clever with your players, and you don't get clever with how you move that money around and trading those players away or making it work for you. And that's not Craig Counsell baseball in the grand scheme of things. And that's the guy you brought in to develop that talent, put them on the field, get them better, coach them up, send them down, bring them back, get them ready for the long run. And it's just, you guys aren't building that. And so why did you hire Craig? Like, that's my biggest question. If like, that's what he's good at. That's what he came from. That's the Brewers franchise he came from. And you guys aren't doing it. So it's just like, it's a waste of $8 million unless you provide him with that opportunity.
I agree. And I think that Craig Counsell feels that way too, because we could hear the frustration in his voice towards the end of last year. So the question is, like, the Cubs are spending money. They really are. They hit that first luxury tax tier. If some outfits have them as slightly over, some have them as slightly under, but right now it doesn't seem like until they can move on from some contracts that they're going to be expanding on that, maybe like rocking through the next tier, but they're going to improve on the margins, quote unquote. So we're not going to go anywhere. We're going to throw the same shit out there, which I've actually been calling this. It really is too soon for this joke, but I've been calling it Project 2025. But it's the C is a Cubs logo on the word project, and it's the Chicago Cubs plan.
It's a visual joke.
It is. It's the Chicago Cubs plan to run the same damn thing out there and hope it gets better this time. So, what are the Brewers going to do? What are the Nationals going to do?
John, you want to go?
Yeah, we're working on Project 2043, and the idea is just that there won't be a Washington, D.C. anymore at that point, and so we don't have to worry about baseball or the team or, and Juan Soto will be turning 30 that year. I think he's very young.
30.
So that's our plan. Eric?
Well, we have a lot of questions in our starting rotation. So we have Savali coming back. I think he's going to opt in. We have Peralta coming back. We did not pick up the option on Wade Miley. Woodruff coming off that Tommy John surgery or whatever he has. He'll be back in that rotation. Weird thing is we're without Adames, but we have 2 Gold Glovers. We won the team Gold Glove with, Bryce Terang and Contreras and all these young talent. But I think the Brewers are in play to make a splash this season. I do. I think we trade Devin Williams. We did not pick up his option. We're going to arbitration again because it's going to be like $7 million to $10 million. I could see a world where McGill is our closer and Devin Williams isn't on the Brewers. We get a little bit more fluidity in that payroll and we make a little bit of a splash at third base or in the outfield, somebody to support Christian that fills that lineup up. Because like what we really proved this year is like we have the bullpen, we have the team, we have the young guys, we have the defense. And we just need one more bat. And I could see the Brewers doing it. Is it Willie? No, because we have young talent there that could move over and fill that position. I can see us making a splash that might surprise some teams. And I really feel that way. We're going to go compete this year, and I could see the Brewers expanding the payroll.
Well, Juan Soto is the big prize, and there's obviously a huge drop-off after Juan Soto.
Yeah.
And so We'll see. I mean, the thing is, we talked about it in the last segment. Everybody's just kind of playing to the middle. And it's a big race to the middle that nobody wants to kind of like do what it takes, except if your name is the Los Angeles Dodgers and possibly the New York Yankees, which I think most people are predicting that's where Juan goes, which just kind of makes the haves more havey.
But doesn't having not work, like, just as a casual fan of the sport, and Eric is the first to point this out. He loves to, when his teams lose, he'll shout, lowest payroll, as if that means they won.
Yeah.
But
they're going to send each Brewer fan $3.
Be a poor kid. I'd punch up,
But all the years that I lived in Los Angeles, where Eric lives, and saw those Dodger teams with the high payrolls, they crapped out in the first round of the playoffs. It seemed, over and over again. So you can't really buy your way to anything, can you? I mean,
No.
You can help your chances.
Sure.
You can help your chances of getting to it. I think the Braves are a pretty good example of that last year, that they had a backup for a backup, but they were still able to win enough games to get there. I think the 2016 Cubs were an example. Like, they really did go all in at that time,
I think these current Mets are a great example of that. Like, they got Stearns from the Brewers, and they're developing that talent and putting money around it. And, like, look out for the Mets this year. Like, I really feel that way.
Well, I do have a song about how the Cubs are not going to get Juan Soto. So you're going to hear that at the end of the show. It is the first Cubs Christmas carol of the season. So I'm hoping I get one out of you guys. We're going to be probably picking a winner. Oh, see, Johnny's already got the bells going. We'll be picking a winner at the last show right before the Christmas Day, whatever the Thursday before Christmas is. So hopefully you guys can come up with some good carols this year for your teams. I want to hear a Nationals carol, whatever that would be. Did you write a Nationals carol last year, Johnny? I don't remember one.
I've been just enjoying those shows long enough to know that, like, you got to have a good Bill Sugas angle. If someone gets hurt or dies that year, you got to jerk on some tears a little bit. So I think this will be the first year that I submit. I think I know how to do it.
I had my 9/11 Craig Counsell video. Craig Counsell goes to hell in the spirit of Silver Bells, but we did it.
I think I might have to replay that one anyway.
That's great.
No, that was incredible. And then, I got my Juan Soto one. I've also written another one that I'll make a video for as well. But today I wanted to bring up that I don't know if you guys remember Dan Nielsen or if you ever met him personally, but this is the second anniversary of Dan's death, which is pretty sad, of course. Pretty sad. It's the fucking saddest thing there could be. So I just want to point that out. We miss you, Dan. And at the end of the show, I'm going to play one of his holiday carols, which is Cubs Miss Carols, which he submitted every single year. Always great ones, which is tickets will be affordable.
Right.
And he was wrong about that. So I'm glad he didn't live to see these prices. Let me tell you, especially with Trumpflation that's coming. Whoa. So I had to get that in there. I mean, they had Biden inflation, thought they were all clever. Now I'm just going to call it Trumpflation. That's how it works. I'm going to put pictures of gas prices up all the fucking time. They're like, oh my God, look at the gas. And I'm like, I'm on my bicycle. I don't really care, but I'm just mad, it seems like that's how you do it. You just give yourself angina, get angry at everybody all the time. And then
angry. Yep.
No, but I just want to put, we miss you, Dan, and I'm so glad that we are, get to hang out with your parents, and they're wonderful people, and they had a wonderful son, and we miss you. I don't know. I don't want to bring it down too much, but I'm going to bring it down a little bit further. If you are friends with Bleacher Tony, he hangs out with us in the left field bleachers. He had a stroke.
Oh, no.
And it was his heart. and he's kind of relearning to walk and talk and everything like that. So I've been texting with him, which is good because at least he can do that right now. And so there's just going to be like kind of a long term sort of helping him out situation. And I don't know what we can do as ranters, but we're going to do something. I'm in Mexico right now. There's nothing I could do. Bleacher Jeff's been going there a few times. He said he's really upset. He said his guy's like my cousin. So just so you know, we have another ranter that's like really in need right now, and we'll just kind of see what we could do down the line. I don't really know what it is right now, but I asked him if it was okay that if I put that out there, and he said, yeah. He's like, I'm a public guy, so I
good.
Just be public about this. He said because he wants he's in his early 40s. So he just wants everybody to know that, you know, this could happen to you. And I don't know if he just wants you to be scared for yourself and he thinks that's funny or no, I'm kidding. But
I'm just glad there's not a rivalry between him and Bleacher Jeff. Because I can see like, oh, he you know, he's needing some help from people, and Bleacher Jeff is like, no, there's one bleacher guy.
Yeah, there's one bleacher guy. Yeah. Jeff probably did it to him.
Survival of the bleacherist.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So it's just, it's a sad state of affairs. And, hopefully we can get Tony back on his feet, help him out. We'll see him out at Wrigley.
We will.
Yeah.
If I know anything about this community, we will. And
he's a great friend. He's a deadhead. He's a really smart finance guy. So him and I drive Jeff nuts talking about like stocks and the economy and stuff like that, with like economic concepts. Tony helped me out when my mom died with all the estate stuff, like pro bono for free. I went over to his house. Wow. He sat me down and I was like, oh, what do I do? And he told me everything to do. And instead of having to hire a lawyer, Tony helped me out and I didn't have to spend any money on a dumb lawyer. So, and I definitely would have hired a dumb one. I guarantee it's my thing. I always hire dumb people. So, anyway,
that's why you have us on the podcast.
Yeah.
Well, it's to make me look smart. So I do want to thank you guys for coming on. I do hope your teams improve. I know mine won't. Not your team, Eric. Just Johnny's team. Because if you guys are fine, like you guys just keep winning no matter what. Like, yeah, you can throw out.
I tell you guys this every year. The Good Enough Gang rides again, and we'll ride again, and we'll be in the playoffs again.
Yeah, it's been so sad to watch it too. Like, and at some point, like I think it's a fluke that you guys are good year after year, and after all this time, I have to say it can't be a fluke. It is 100% has to be that you are absolutely. And I got to be honest about it. We should all be honest about it. That the Brewers are a vastly better organization than the Chicago Cubs when it comes to
it took 5 years and we got here, baby. We did it.
It's fucking obvious. It's the most obvious thing I've ever seen in my life because you do way more with less. We have all the resources in the world and we fall flat on our face year after year, coming third place. That's all. What can I do? If it was a fluke, it wouldn't have happened 8 times already. So
yeah, Milwaukee has an airport named Appleton. Like their really resources are thin.
Yeah, no, that's a fluke.
Danny, thank you. It's been 5 years of trying to convince you guys of this and just continuing to show it every year. You're going to finish third, the Cubs, the Reds, whatever the hell it was going to be in the division. Thank you. Back-to-back Team Gold Glove Awards. Team Gold Glove Awards. They give one to AL, NL. Brewers got it 2 years in a row. There's a reason we win games.
I was thinking about something that you two have in common briefly before
me and Eric.
Yeah, I think you're going to break, Danny. I can feel it from your tempo. So Danny said that he's down in Mexico, and Eric was talking about really negotiating for a good contract and being smart running a team. Eric, don't you go to those sales presentations for the Mexican vacations?
I do.
I think you're like, can you think of one tip to give us? Is it just like, because I feel like if you can sit through one of those and get your 3 days at the Ramada or whatever, maybe you should be negotiating for these teams to get Soto.
I agree. The Weston Vacation Rentals, they know me by name at this point. I've known that for about 4 years straight. They want to sell me a timeshare. I'm always almost all in on the timeshare, and then I always walk out. I've gone to the point where I've signed the contract. They give you 30 days to cancel it, and they give you $250 towards the room, and then they get a call in the morning that says, no, I'm going to cancel it. I've had my room upgraded. I've done it all. It's all about the negotiation. You sit there for an hour, 2 hours. You walk in. The real sell is if you go into timeshare married and you smell like booze, they got to cancel it right away. They do.
It's almost like like signing a contract with someone who isn't
I've been
clear-headed.
Yeah, I've been to Cabo more than Clooney on free Weston travel miles.
I say you put Eric up against any of the super agents.
Yes.
You know, you got a Boris and Wheelo in a room trying to figure out who's going to blink first when it comes to the next big star. My money's on Wheelo.
I am so afraid to go to those timeshare things, and I know that like you just got to be tough and like you hook them in, and then you get all the free shit, like just like you said. But
Yeah.
my problem is I would feel so guilty. I know I would, and I would end up with the stupid timeshare.
I'm sorry I wasted your time. Can I please get the 3-bedroom for myself?
And I walk in and I just go, I'm going to take them for everything they have. And on this meeting alone, you get up 100,000 Marriott points. So that's like delivered. And you got 4 nights. And then you're friends with everybody at the resort. You meet the guy and you just go in and you're like, oh, yeah. But you have to know your facts. You have to know the numbers about timeshares. You have to understand why they don't understand why this doesn't work for me. They always sit me down. They go, so how does your family job? I have no kids. How's your work schedule? I work a lot. Are you married? No, I'm not. And this just doesn't really work.
Do you like pools? I can't swim.
I can't swim. Like, whatever they say, it's just no.
You like the beach. I'm allergic to the sun. Yeah, I mean, just everything.
I'm buffet intolerant.
Yeah. I've done 4. That's fantastic. I always win. And Johnny, you're exactly right.
Danny, I wanted to inspire you while you're broadcasting from Mexico that Thursday.
Well, I really should take advantage. It sounds like something I would do, but I just don't have the cojones to pull it off. But do you know who does? And I did get a message in from Cubstradamus. He sent a video message. I don't know what he's predicting. There's not even baseball going on right now, but he keeps sending messages. So we're just gonna hear. We're gonna hear from him, unfortunately.
Things are getting so scary, and you better say a Hail Mary. For my awesome predictions, Trump gave me a position as his deity secretary. Get ready for some changes. You guys are fucked.
So he's gonna have a religious role in the U.S. government?
It seems like that is the case. I mean, that actually he seems more appropriate for the role he was given as deity secretary than some of the people that Trump's been putting in the.
Yeah, I've been hired by Trump. I should announce on your show, Secretary of Timeshare. So
Finally, someone who can do the job.
Exactly. You know your stuff, my friend. You know your stuff. A couple of quick announcements. We are doing Cubs caroling on the December 7th, a date that will live in infamy. Yeah, see, there's the bells.
Wait, can I come down and be a part of it?
Dude, I would love for you to come down. We have to write some anti-Brewer songs for you to sing.
I'll bring my acoustic bass. I will be in town. I will drive down.
Awesome. Well, I don't think you want to be walking around with an acoustic. We'll just use your terrible voice, and we'll,
That's true. It's a baritone. We'll get there.
Why not carry it around? Because it's heavy, or it'll be like a Jussie Smollett thing.
We're freaking caroling. Nobody who brings a bass to caroling.
I can hit an E. I can hit an A. I can hit the C. I mean, we got it. We got B.
He can hit 3 of the many notes on a scale.
Yeah, we're fine. How about I bring an accordion? I'm learning how to play it.
Here you go. Accordion, that makes sense for caroling.
Yeah, sure.
Dude, are you really learning to play accordion?
Yes.
Well, then, yes, bring the accordion. Absolutely.
It won't be a silent night.
Yeah. Isn't that a redundant? That's kind of an oxymoronic thing to play Silent Night on an accordion? It's like playing on the bagpipes. It's like there's nothing silent about it. You know?
He never sleeps at night.
I don't think they were talking about that kind of squeeze box, Eric.
Oh.
I think he was talking about
in and out and in and out.
In and out and in and out.
He was talking about your literal mother, Eric, I believe.
Oh, he's talking about my liver. Anyways, all right.
So I wanted a quick announcement. If I'm going to put this out there to you guys too. If you would like to record a Cubs pod history, you can be a part of the Bleacher Bunch Network. I'll produce you. We got Jeff is going to do a game from 1984 that it was important to him. I did a game from 1983 was Chuck Rainey one hitter that was broken up by Eddie Milner in the ninth. This is Cubs pod history. I just did game 6 of the World Series in 1945, which is a wild game. Let me tell you about the 1945 World Series. It was known as the Fat Men versus the Tall Men at the company picnic. Like that's what like sports writers called it, because all these dudes that played in the game were 4F war deferments, which means they were too old or injured to actually be in the war, but they could still play some baseball.
Oh, that's great.
They had starting pitchers like wearing a corset because he like fell off an oil rig in his off-season job. They had
and they're probably like 36.
Oh yeah, they're dudes in their late 30s. They had dudes that were one guy, he had burned his hand, his right hand, which was his dominant hand. So he had taught himself to throw with his left hand. So he was a left-handed pitcher with a burned right hand.
You know, I got to call bullshit on that because, you know, if he got that good at being ambidextrous, couldn't he shoot at a Nazi with his left hand? I mean, it doesn't mean that he can't go give himself over to the war.
Well, I'm sure he would have rather be playing baseball. So maybe that was his bones.
Oh, I see.
My dad came home one time with his brother's tooth in his knuckle, and I pulled it out with a pair of pliers, and he went to work the next day. So, you know, that's...
Well, you know, you got to make a living. But anyway.
So, Danny, what's the format of these Cubs history?
Well, it's just kind of
talk about it.
Yeah, you just talk about the game. Really, whatever you want to do. Just talk about the game. Talk about the context of the game. Maybe go through a play-by-play of the game itself. You don't have to do every single pitch. For some of the older games, there's not that information, you know, but if there's some game that's important to you that you'd like to do, I mean, it's called Cubs pod history, so it probably should be a game against the Cubs at some point. Like, so Johnny, like if you wanted to do like
game 163,
game 163, you could do if you wanted to, Eric, and make us relive that nasty, horrible time in all of our lives. Or Johnny, you want to maybe do remember the mold game? The Nationals versus Cubs mold game when Steven Strasburg, I believe, said he had
oh, that's right, that he had gotten poisoned the night before staying in a hotel in Chicago.
And it was and then he came and everybody were like, oh, we're gonna kick his ass because he's sick and he's on the mound, and everybody wore masks in the bleachers. We wore masks in the bleachers 1 year before we were all, and when COVID hit, Bleacher Jeff still had some of those masks, and those were the first COVID masks. So our trolling of the Nationals in that game is why I am standing here today, because I didn't get COVID during the initial pandemic.
You had pre-PPE.
Yeah, I did. I did. I had a PPPP.
PPPP.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, if you want to be part of Cubs pod history, let me know.
I do. Game 163. Sign me up. Let's do it.
Yeah, just record it, send it to me, and I'll put it out. That's pretty much all it is. You know, I would, edit yourself though. I don't have time for this shit. I wanted to thank Ari, who actually gave to the Trapdoor Theater Fund, because we're going to Poland in February, and with our weird play, The Pragmatists, it's really kind of transcendental, very heady kind of play. And it's we're invited to a theater festival in Poland. I'm dropping the link in the chat right now. Ari gave $25. If you have anything to give towards it, I'd really appreciate it. You could just go to Trapdoor Theater, spelled TRAPDOORTHEATRE, spelled that fancy Englishy way to make us look cooler, /support. And anyway, just go to trapdoortheater.com. You'll find everything. Look us up and give us any kind of money that you have. And also, I'm starting a thing on, I don't know if you guys joined Blue Sky yet.
It is true that all day, I saw it for the first time today, and I thought it said Blueski. I don't know. I just like, that's not even
Speaking
a joke.
of Poland.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh, we got Ragauskis on Blueski, and then when I heard Lawrence earlier today saying Blue Sky, I was like, oh, that makes a lot more sense. I thought it was like Blue's Clues.
Blue's Clues. Now, Blue Chew, yes. Blue Sky, have no idea what we were talking about.
I guess it's in Danny.
Yeah, no, it's the new. It's not new, but it's kind of old. I guess it was started by the Twitter people.
Okay.
What was that guy's name? That weird dude with the beard, looked like a guru.
George
The old Twitter guy, the guy that sold it to Elon. Well, everybody's leaving Twitter, so where everybody's over on Blue Sky, they're calling it X it, because it's so it makes a lot of sense. We also
I love that. That's the first time that that the term X has been embraced in the entire time.
I know.
To use it.
I said
Twitter. Ooh, it's an X.
Yeah, exactly. We only identify it by the name.
I read my scripts and then I go like on X, and I'm like, that just doesn't sound right. It sounds like so it's always on Twitter. It's always been on Twitter. Like it's just whatever.
Yeah. Well, and now we're leaving it to go to Blueski, which I love calling it Blueski. And
yeah, that's good.
And because and you know how you tweet on X or whatever, I think, or post on Facebook, people are saying they skeet on the sky, which seems a little bit like dirty. So I'm thinking we BS on it because it's Blue Sky, he sent me a BS, that's kind of funny because they were just bullshit, it's kind of has that set. I'm trying to get that going. So help me out. And I just shared my link in the chat. It's, just look up Son Ranto Show. That's where I am. But I'm also putting together a ranters, I forget what they call it. It's a starter pack. So I put something on the ranters Facebook page that if you want to be part of our ranters Blue Sky starter pack, basically you can follow all the ranters at once.
Nice.
And then it'll be like a news feed of ranters as well. So that is a cool kind of perk of Blueski. And so I'm definitely calling it Blueski, dude. Like, it's so good.
It's better.
Right. If I join tomorrow,
I have an announcement. It's really easy to sign up. I've already secured Wheelo at Blueski, Wheelo 1 at Blueski, and Wheelo 3 at Blueski. So feel free to follow me at any of those handles.
There's also Bleacher Bunch that I was able to grab that, which I couldn't do on the artist formerly known as X. Yeah, I know. Everybody signed up for every Eric Wheelo right now. We got to help Johnny out, Eric Wheelo 1 through 9. Actually, do 1 through 69. He won't know what to do. Just leave him with Eric Wheelo 666. That's all That's all he gets is the devil one. So anyway,
that's BS.
So thrilled. I go in and I just can't get any of them. I'm just like,
yeah. Rick says he loves Blueski. It's a way better way to say it. Way better. It's not even done in that Ukrainian way with 2 Y's.
No,
you can't do that. So I do. Oh, here's the starter pack. I forgot I had a graphic for that. The Ranters on Blueski. Isn't that pretty? And then I also wanted
Cubs Blueski.
Oh, we Blueski, all right. So
Cubby Blueski. I'm done.
Blueski. Some Blueski balls.
Oh, yeah. It's been a while. I do have a couple of funny things I want to get your laughter on, really, because I think they're funny. First of all, I want to point out that congratulations to your girlfriend, your significant other, Jennifer, who I was sitting there doing my sexual harassment training for my day job.
Shut up.
When who pops onto the screen but Jennifer?
What?
That's right.
Yeah.
Why do you think I'm so good at sexually harassing? I've been trained by the best.
Yeah, you know exactly how to do it.
What?
Yeah, I was just wild. I couldn't believe it. So I just wanted to point that out.
Danny, can you put that picture back up? There's a mole?
There's
is
a
that
mole.
on the photo, or is that interesting?
I don't know.
Have that.
No, they digitally added that later to make her look more harassable, I guess.
She's definitely the bitch in the office. Just look at that mole.
Look at that mole. We're just going to talk about the mole.
They're always talking about my mole at work.
I'm the vice president of mole operations.
I mean, yeah, we can do whatever we want with your face.
A guy came and said he just came from the dentist and he had his molar out.
Wait, Jen said it's a beauty mark.
Oh man,
God, that's not a thing, is
it? What
is that a beauty?
I don't know what that is. It could be on the picture. No, but she doesn't really have that.
That's the laziest person that's ever edited a photo ever. It's just like, nah, we'll just put that there.
Yeah. So,
Jen, I love it. I love that so much. You're just like, is that Jen?
I did. Well, I was like, but then I was like, it couldn't be. I'm like, well, she is an actor, so maybe. And so I finally texted Johnny because she was in a few scenes, and I was like, well, I'm not really good with faces and names, and so I was like, well. And it's on the TV. It's a sexual harassment thing. So I'm barely watching the thing. I get every answer wrong.
You're jerking off to the video.
Yeah.
You're a human. No, I'm kidding.
There is one scene where I was like, the hot boss is coming out of the guy. And I was like, and he's like, oh, I just felt like, I can't believe it. I'm feeling pressured by the boss. I'm like, dude, just take the promotion and take her home. She's got good money. Like she's whining and dining. Like, just go with her. Jesus Christ, it's your career, bro. And she's freaking hot. Like, what are you doing?
So, Danny, can
this
we
is why you'll never
didn't pass the test?
Yeah, this is why I don't pass the test, because I was like, it's like, dude, what are you doing? So did you guys see this, that, how the world champion Dodgers won, and then Fanatics created a t-shirt, and how nice of them to include all the Texas Rangers signatures on the back.
That's funny.
So they don't care about you. They just want your money.
And
and
Fanatics sucks. Fuck them. Go to Billy DeVore. Buy your shit from him off in the clutch.
Yeah, in the clutch, and sponsors of the Son Ranto Show.
Yeah, that's where you go. Fuck Fanatics.
So I enjoyed this. I saw this on Blueski, I believe, and that there was a little news is that Donald Trump has picked Ipe Mizuhara as Secretary of the Treasury.
Hey, if he can get Shohei out of his gambling debts, anybody can do it,
Hey, that's how Trump got out of his debt. He just got elected president. He doesn't know shit to anybody anymore. It's awesome. Like, that's why I'm running for dog catcher. So, thanks you guys for coming on. It's always fun. If you want to come on to the after show, we're going to be over on Discord with the Ranters. I know you guys are already members of that. I'm going to grab another. By the way, this is delicious. The Corona Zero is better than regular Corona.
Wow.
It is. Like, I never really liked Corona because it kind of tastes sour at the end.
Yeah.
Corona Zero has all the good part of the front end of Corona without that sour end that I never liked.
I still have lots of NA beer in my fridge from when Danny and Eric visited me in the spring, and it makes Jennifer's mole insane. She's like, there's no room for any of our stuff in here. And I'm like, he might come back and might want one of his Heineken Zeros.
Yeah, it's well, you know what's going to happen eventually is you're going to have a party, people are going to come over, and somebody's going to think it's a regular Heineken,
Yep.
and they're going to drink the Heineken Zeros, and then they're going to be like, they're going to drink like 4 of them, and they're going to be like,
I
don't
was
do anything, yeah.
And it'll save the night because
Yeah.
they'll sober up and nothing bad will have
I
happened.
was literally at a round hockey tournament that we do every year with a bunch of buddies out here. And I went in the coolers and I'm drinking all these beers, and then I look and they're just NAs, and I've been drinking them for 2 hours straight, and I'm like, holy fuck, everybody's fucking sober here. I'm like,
It's a trick.
Oh man. Well, yeah, I'm sorry for doing that. I know nobody wants those things. I certainly they would end up in my fridge when I used to drink, and I would be like, God damn these motherfuckers, you know. And then same thing. You drink the thing, you think you're getting drunk, and you're not. And the funny thing is, sometimes you drink them and you act drunk anyway, and you realize that it was just all psychosomatic. Anyway.
wait. I just see Jennifer in the chat going, John's nephew definitely tried to take some. Is this true?
Yeah, that's right. Oh, that's right.
Jennifer's
trying to
here.
get boozed up on NAs?
Jennifer, it's good to see you. I saw you earlier today as the star of my sexual harassment video. Congratulations.
That's chocolate.
Yeah, you've got a little.
They're always making fun of me for eating chocolate in the office. And it just gets on my chin, and there's nothing I can do. I'm a sloppy eater. Like my mother was before. I can't help it's my origins.
What office do you work in, Danny?
I don't know.
Is it any more clear that Danny has never spent a single minute in an office in his life? He's like, everyone talks about their mothers, right? That's what happens in offices.
It's the dumbest shit, dude. I work in my house. I work from home with one other guy named Joel.
You don't even work from home. You're in Mexico. They have different laws there.
Exactly. I can say whatever I want here and not even get in trouble because it's in English. But at home though, like who am I going to sexual harass? My freaking cat?
Well,
I mean, I do, but I'm allowed to do that. It's my cat.
Jennifer asked, "Did you see the trans one, Danny?"
No, my boss told me that it's coming. I'm not all the way through. He's like, yeah. He's like, just wait, it gets good. And I'm like, I'm actually excited. No, I mean, these things, they're ridiculous. I feel bad for all the actors in them. I feel bad for all the people who got to watch them because it's the dumbest thing. Because anybody that they are actually for is just gonna get pissed off by them. It's gonna make things worse.
I work at FanDuel, and we do HR videos where it's just like, if a sports bettor calls and he's suicidal, what do you do? It's like, do you shut down his account? Do you
have him pay beforehand?
Do you call emergency services and get a fucking ambulance to show up at their house? And it's like, no, but we're a great company, and this is what we do. It's like, what?
Yeah, exactly. If somebody calls up and they're massively suicidal, we here at FanDuel drive to their house with a bunch of clowns and a big net for them to jump in.
We asked them to dinner on Friday to lift their spirits.
And now we own Belli Sports. Guess what? Gamble. And guess what? Your divorced dad's gonna lose his finger.
Wait, you all do that now?
Yeah, we do. We cut off arms. That's what we do.
You've got to. Well, you should just do a figure at a time, unless, of course, you're eBay.
It's a dirty business, and you do what you got to do. You know, you got to get your money.
You do. You got to get your money. That if America has taught us anything, it's you got to get your money.
There's a new secretary of sports gambling in charge.
I've been appointed that too. So it's timeshares and sports gambling.
All right, it's time for Discord, gentlemen.
It is. Well, everybody, thanks for showing up tonight. I'm going to play two Cubs.
Johnny.
Johnny's like, God, I got to pee. Two Cubs Miss Carols to go out. The first one will be Dan Nielsen's. Tickets will be affordable. This should get people in the Christmas spirit. It doesn't feel like Christmas down here in Mexico because it's 80 degrees. But and then I'm going to play my new Juan Soto song and hopefully start sending them in. Put them up on the Ranters page on Facebook. Put them on the Discord. Let's just enjoy each other. It's Christmas. All right. Here's Spagog, everybody. Thanks
Spagog!
thanks to the Bleacher Bucks Connections. Thanks to our Patreon people. Thanks to Rogue Wave Creative, Mike Waller, the Cubs PS Plus podcast, Matt Cameron's Permanent Paintings, and the Clutch Shirts, and of course, Jeff Ragauskis and the bricks behind the Ivy podcast. Find us everywhere podcasts can be found. Later, y'all. Spagog.
In the clutch.
Tickets may be affordable at Wrigley Field next year. The Cubs will start out 0-10. Hello, $5 beer. Ricketts won't care. He hates baseball, just like Rob and Fred. All they want is to make a buck. They don't give a fuck. You will get a vomiting sensation when you see Northia leading off. Welcome back, Darwin Barney. Tickets may be affordable in 2021. They'll trade Rizzo and KB to the Sox for Edwin fucking Jackson. The Cubbies will never sign him. Our win total's not climbing, 'cause Ricketts won't spend the dough. Juan Soto, Juan Soto, Juan Soto. We really could use more power, but Hoyer is a coward. The Cubs are going to forego Juan Soto, Juan Soto, Juan Soto. His asking price is too high for the Cubs to afford. If you ask Hoyer why, he'll say he's raising the floor. We already blame Jed and Tommy for not signing Ohtani, but they're still telling us no. Juan Soto, Juan Soto, Juan Soto.
Can you hear me? We're going to do hashtag chance. We're going to pick a winner real quick, and then I'm going to really spagog. Round and round she goes. Where she stops, nobody knows except for the chance. And the winner is Chris Salato. Congratulations. You are the winner tonight. And with that, I bid you all a mighty fine spagog.